Hi, this is Quincy Tijani from Quincy Tijani Music Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing my first review on my favorite album of all time, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. Pink Floyd was a progressive rock and psychedelic rock band that originated from Surrey in the UK, and throughout the 60s and 70s they really expanded on a lot of psychedelic music that was going on, and they changed a lot of ways that music was recorded. And they also helped to develop what today is known as the concept album. Pink Floyd has had three distinct leaders throughout their time recording music, and their first leader was known as Syd Barrett, who helped them to break through onto the large-scale music scene with his pop hits such as Arnold Lane and See Emily Play, and his music style was seen again on the fan favorite Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which is Pink Floyd's first album. Unfortunately, soon after the recording of this album, Syd Barrett started to descend into a mental breakdown because of his heavy use of psychedelic drugs. After 1968, when Syd Barrett was kicked out of the band, Pink Floyd had a very difficult time finding their sound, and it took them a few albums such as Saucer Full of Secrets and Atom Heart Mother to really come together on their album entitled Metal, which came out in 1971. This album brought them a little bit of success and a little bit more exposure into the world of music. They had to follow it up with something big, and so in 1973 they released what is possibly their most well-known album, Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon is Pink Floyd working as a perfectly cohesive unit. It dwells in more progressive rock themes than really psychedelic themes, and it touches on things such as death and mental disease and government and destruction. The lyricism seen in Dark Side of the Moon is, in my opinion, unmatched in any other album that I've heard to date. Roger Waters really outdoes himself on this record on most of the songs, including Us and Them, and even the popular song Money. Dark Side of the Moon starts off with a build-up song entitled Speak to Me, which segues into the song Breathe, which is one of the most incredible opening tracks that I've ever heard. And when the vocals come in, it's amazing what Pink Floyd does on this track. Next is On the Run, which when I first heard it, honestly, I didn't know what to think of it. It was kind of like a filler track to me, but over the years that I've been listening to this album, when it's not played with the album, it seems like something's missing. It has become a necessity, and it has really grown on me. And it does an amazing job of leading into the next song, which is called Time, which is one of Pink Floyd's most famous songs, and it really shows David Gilmour's abilities to play the guitar and shows off his soloing abilities. The next song is one of my favorite songs on the album, Great Gig in the Sky, which is a really interesting song because Pink Floyd's keyboardist, Richard Wright, had this tune in his head but didn't really know where to go with it. And so they brought in a woman whose name is Claire Torrey to do vocals on this song. And they basically told her to go into the studio and just sing about death and decay and whatever came into her mind, just to sing it over top of this tune. And so she went in and she did that amazing vocal number over top of Richard Wright's keyboard. And when she came out, she apologized to the band and said how sorry she was about ruining the song. And the band was amazed by it. They were completely blown away by her vocals, and they put it onto the album, and it's one of the most incredible vocal performances that I've ever heard. The next song is Money, which is a classic Pink Floyd song. It was written because somebody told Pink Floyd that they didn't have any songs that they could play on the radio, and people couldn't dance to Pink Floyd's music when they went to concerts. And so they made this song, and it became a radio hit, and a lot of hardcore Pink Floyd fans kind of dismissed this song as being too pop. It wasn't what they were looking for on the album, but it's a big fan favorite. And it leads into my favorite song on the album, which is Us and Them. Us and Them is just over 7 minutes long, and it deals with themes like war and struggle through war, which is something that Roger Waters really had to deal with in his childhood after his father was killed in a war. The harmonies on the chorus of Us and Them are just incredible, and it's one of my favorite Pink Floyd tunes. Attached to this song is a small instrumental song known as Any Color You Like, which really acts as a build-up for the finale of the album, which is Brain Damage and Eclipse. Eclipse is a fantastic finale to this album. It really leaves the listener wanting more once the album's over. I know that when I heard this album, I was just blown away by the musicianship and the lyricism on this final track, Eclipse. And after Eclipse is over, it fades away, and I just sit there and wish that there was a few more songs left on this album. Dark Side of the Moon is by far my favorite album of all time. If you haven't heard it, I definitely recommend it to you, especially if you maybe heard Pink Floyd's other popular albums like The Wall or Wish You Were Here. Dark Side of the Moon really represents what Pink Floyd was all about, and it really led to further fantastic albums down the road. My name's Quincy Tijani. I hope you enjoyed this review, and hopefully I'll be able to do some more reviews later on. Thanks a lot, guys.